Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, right? I appreciate everybody being here. We'll go ahead and we'll call the meeting to order at 2 o'clock. Okay. First item on the agenda is to consider and approve the minutes from the Conroe ISD School Safety and Security Committee meeting that was held on April 24th of 2025. Do I have a motion to approve? I have a motion. Do I have a second? Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes? Or is there any discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I see none. Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Okay. Item 2, to receive an overview and discuss the following topics. And we'll start with the 2023 Bond Safety and Security. Mr. Foster.
All right, thank you for allowing me to give you this update. What we've got going on in our 2023 bond referendum for the district-wide safety and security improvements. Just to remind everybody, the task given by this committee with the funds allocated in the 2023 bond referendum were for elementary and intermediate to provide secure classroom corridors, which is another layer of security, so that our classrooms can have some community, keep their doors locked but open so that teachers could look across the hall and help supervise each other's classrooms. 100% exterior card reader access, and then exterior cameras that are focused on the driveways. At junior high and high schools, it's limited to the exterior card reader access for every exterior door. And then the exterior cameras, again, focused on the driveways. Those exterior cameras are focused so that when there is an incident, or if there is an incident, we can capture and understand who came and went during the time of those incidents. So it's not a tracking mechanism, but a tool so that we can help find the cause or root effect if there is an incident on a campus. So the work that we've got in progress. So every one of our capital improvements that we have underway includes a safety and security function as part of those contracts. The initial work on the safety and security improvements really began in earnest on the existing campuses when school got out, so May 27th. We were shuffling around teachers as they were working out their last days of their contract and getting our work started on these campuses that are listed here. There are a ton of them, so I'm not going to read them all aloud, but these are the campuses we're bulleted here where we're currently working, as well as our new campuses, which are also listed on this category on this list that are opening in August. It is a large volume of materials and hardware that's delivering all at once, a large amount of programming and infrastructure input into our own system, which we have one point of entry into our security system. So it is a primary focus for the exterior card readers to become functional first. So that'll give us better access for all of our teachers and help our maintenance department in their mission to help eliminate the number of exterior keys that are available throughout the district. So projects that are in progress that have opening dates later than August of this coming summer are the bulleted campuses here, which include our new high school, Timber Mill High School. All of our new campuses that remain in the 2023 bond here are listed, as well as our critical infrastructure packages that are underway at the other campuses there. Next slide. And then these are the ones that are currently in design, meaning we're preparing the bidding documents to put them out for public bids. Our design teams and our construction managers have been assigned. They're working on these campuses now for approvals in the very near future at the board level for construction. And then one more slide. The future projects, we have yet to begin the design or the construction manager selection process for these campuses, but this does round out all of the existing campuses in the district. So the 2023 bond referendum, when we're done, which will be the summer of 2028, will have touched every campus in the district, and we'll have all of them on the same standard at that point. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Cameras on the exterior of the at the driveways headed out, are they LPR capable or are they just video recording cameras?
So I'm not familiar with what LPR is.
License plate readers.
So they're not equipped for like automatic understanding and running of those plates, but they are a resolution high enough to be able to zoom in and capture those manually in our systems.
So just speaking out of experience, and when I'm talking about LPRs, I'm talking about actually running the plate, but it captures the data and holds it. Cameras that we have in the county that do the exact same thing, because of refreshing rates and buffering rates and the lag in cameras and the storage mechanism for that data, sometimes that image could be corrupted to where when we zoom in on it, we cannot see the plate. We can see it making a model and a color, but the plate may not be visible. So I've converted those critical clinch point cameras to LPRs. They don't record in and out. They just record a license plate coming in and a license plate going out, and it stores it for whatever your storage requirements are. And it doesn't run it, doesn't pull it against anything, but it's a much better image of that car and that license plate, because we've run into this before. So my garages, I got a BMW and it's black, but the plate's too blurry to read, so it inhibits us. Conroe uses these. They have 80 plus flock cameras in the city. So if we had that data and we had an incident, the chief can make that call. That data goes into the database, and not only is Conroe now looking for that car, but every car that Montgomery County has now has an LPR in it with the updated Axon system. So there's 700 patrol cars now searching for that plate on the road instantaneously.
Jason, what's the process of transmitting or transforming to that, whatever
So
we're currently
cost
doing?
is probably the most prohibited thing in this situation. Our solution to this was a fee-based system like Flock. It's $2,500 a year per camera. That may get very expensive with the number of campuses and entrances you have. But there are, like Axon makes a camera that you buy one time, you install in your Genetech system, that I'm sure that's what you guys use for camera management.
It's not.
It's not Genetech. It's
No.
something to that effect. And it captures that data, and you pay a one-time cost for that camera at that point. And it goes into the backhaul of whatever system you're using to capture. And again, it's not Big Brother per se, because we're not running the plate actively against databases. However, it gives you guys better recording capability on that data, since that's something you've identified as a priority. And I would test it. Slow entrance in and out of a garage, you would think we'd have better camera, better view of that plate, but it doesn't happen. If somebody did something on campus, they're not leaving slow. They're going to leave in a hurry. So that's what concerns me, is the video we're capturing high enough in quality that it's going to make a plate useful for the chief and his guys to run that guy down and find out who they were. So
How much do we have left on that bond? Are we maxed?
It's a kind of a rolling question, because we've got projects that complete this summer, and we have projects in progress that complete next summer, and projects in progress that complete the summer after. So there's not a hard line to draw. We'd have to take a snapshot and
Can
see.
we look into the LPRs that Jason's mentioned?
it may be worth, sorry to interrupt you, it may be worth looking at what you already have installed and see if it's capturing the images appropriately. Because if it is, there's no point in changing the
Right.
ballgame. But if you are seeing that where every third plate comes through based on angle and speed, you're getting a blurry image when you zoom in. Now, Chief can call the FBI with that image and get them to enhance it, but that takes time.
Sure.
And he's got that great relationship with those guys, but it still takes time.
Yeah.
Whereas I put them in my neighborhood, so I'm familiar with the product. I put them in my neighborhood, and I know every plate coming in and out. And if we have an incident, which we've had in the past, it's here's the information. It gives me make, model, car, and the plate. And it can even tell me things like how often that plate comes in the driveway, things like that. So
Well, we can certainly run a test this fall,
Yeah.
and we do have time to implement improvements if we find they're necessary. So
You don't have ownership in that company or anything, do you?
I do not, no.
Okay, just want to make sure.
absolutely not. Neither one that I mentioned, Flock or Axon.
Okay.
There's hundreds of others out there. It just depends on what you're looking to do with them. So.
Appreciate it. Thank
absolutely,
you.
we'll see if we can gather up some images this fall once we got the first systems commissioned, and we can bring a report back to the committee.
Happy to help and show anyone, bring you into the system and show you what we have that it eliminates that.
Thank
Sure.
you, Jason.
Mr. Foster, I didn't take account on what the list of them that we've already done. Can you give me an idea of how many that we've already installed that it would affect
They're being installed this summer.
this
So,
summer?
yeah,
But they've already been acquired, so in order
Yes,
for
ma'am.
them to be installed, so that's,
It would be this list here, so Eichler, Campbell, Haley, Buckaloo, Ford, Creighton, Armstrong, Austin, Burnham, West Broadway, Derrickson, Kaufman, Milam, Houston, Runyon, Snyder, Tuff, and Collins.
Thank
You
you.
guys have a lot of driveways. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's multiple driveways at every location.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Item B, hurricane preparedness for the district. Mr. McCord.
So first off, before I go, thank you for coming Wednesday afternoon, 2 o'clock in the middle of the summer. It's appreciated. And so we really efforted to put together a good presentation for you here today on hurricanes. As luck would have it, combined with strategic planning, we have two people that are probably among the 5 to 10 most important people in the county when it comes to preparing for a hurricane and responding to it. The first one you've already heard to my immediate right, left if you look at me, that is Mr. Jason Millsaps. He, I believe, is Chief of Staff for Judge Keogh. That is one job. His other job is the Director of the Montgomery County Office of Emergency Management. Jason, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so he probably wears other hats, but those are the two most prominent. Also, directly across from me is Marshall Schrader, our Executive Director of Custodial and Maintenance, who is among the first to respond before, during, and after a hurricane would possibly land. I asked him to come here as a special guest star. So if you have really granular questions from us, he can assist. So I appreciate Marshall being here. So the first thing, just to give a little background and to educate, because we're educators. So first off, we have an above average season predicted by NOAA, which is the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. So for Colorado State out of Fort Collins, they're the ones for the country that do the forecast for hurricanes, which I find ironic because based on my East Texas geography that I learned as a young lad is nowhere near any large body of water. But Colorado State does it yearly and they do a good job. So just a few things to know. You've heard of El Nino and La Nina. And when you hear El Nino and La Nina, you probably think to yourself, what does that mean? Well, it really goes down to the surface temperature of the water in the Atlantic and or the Pacific and the Gulf. When you have an El Nino year, what happens is the water of the body of water, whether it's the Atlantic or wherever it may be, is warmer than usual. But besides just the water being warmer than usual, the wind flow is less. That is a great driver of creating powerful and multiple hurricanes. You can also have what's called a La Nina year. In a La Nina year, the water is cooler and you have more wind. That more wind acts to shear hurricanes apart before they get started. So we are predicted this year to have a neutral year. It's neither El Nino or La Nina. We are in neutral, so it will be a very average year in theory. But just another thing worth mentioning as you prepare for hurricanes, and a couple of times this summer you get the warning, and you see it when you go out on the fruited plain, you see the Saharan dust, and you can see the dust. And if you like having your car cleaned, that's not good. If you like going to the pool and not having a haze, that's not good. For me, it is fantastic because what that Saharan dust does is it cools the temperature a little bit and it makes it difficult for hurricanes to form. So when you see Saharan dust or you see them prescribing it on TV from a meteorologist that's coming, that's what it is. So if you're old school, I'm no Dr. Neil Frank, or if you're new school, I am no new age. What's her name? Cheetah Johnson. Cheetah, help me out. Cheetah Craft. But we try. So just a few things here. It was not that far from a year ago today that Beryl started. And Beryl matriculated out in the Gulf for 13 days, which is almost unprecedented. The other thing about Beryl is that it was a Category 5, the earliest Category 5 ever recorded, and the only Category 5 ever recorded in the month of June. So it meandered around for 13 days. It hit on July 8th as a Category 1 near Matagorda. What was challenging about Beryl is it didn't give us much warning where it was going to hit and which direction it was going to go. And then it made a beeline for our front door. So that was interesting. I do want to let you know, because I want to give you something more than you possibly knew when you drove up here today, is that 2007, House Bill 1471. It is a House bill, and Jason could be able to elaborate on it too. It basically calls on organizations like ours in times of need to possibly be able to provide resources for the community, the region, or the state, and it's divided up into little sub-regions. What that might look like, a good example might be the use of our buses if something was to happen, and we had availability. We'd have to have the ability to get the buses out and drivers, but House Bill 1471 is a thing. Another thing that is a thing is this right here, and this is, we have a resolution as of 2018 with the county to provide assistance to the county along with other governmental agencies of the county to help each other in the case help is needed. And we do that all the time. And I will say this not just because he's sitting right here, but the county has always been a great friend of Conroe ISD to help us, and we've tried to be where we can be to help the county. That's the way mutual aid's supposed to work. So that's the way it goes. So moving forward, so I would say one thing, you think about the good old days. Think about how fortunate we are that we're able to have radars and forecasts and know when a hurricane's coming. So think about if you were in Galveston in the year 1900, and you're just out on the beach looking up at the sky and you think it's getting dark. And then you have a devastating hurricane hit and you have no idea it's coming. And you have no way to prepare. And if you've been to Galveston and you've seen the seawall, that seawall was created because of the large loss of life of the hurricane of 1900 that hit Galveston. It was built between 1902 and 1904. So being able to know what's coming really matters. If you look here, what I would tell you as far as district resources, at times in the past, we have opened shelters. We will open a shelter if we have availability, if we're called on by the county and the Montgomery County Office of Emergency Management. We would open a shelter as needed in the area that is impacted. As we open it, and Chief Blakelock has been involved, and he's worked multiple ones with me. Dr. Merle has been coordinator of shelters with me also, is that I would tell you the big thing is when we open it, you have to have an exit strategy. Because we exist as a school and to reopen school services. And one thing we do, and it's got a lot to do with the people in this room, it's got a lot to do with Marshall, we generally effort and strive and are successful in reopening faster than everybody else. But I will tell you that when we have a shelter, we try to have an exit strategy because at some point it's time for people to go home. And so the other thing that I will tell you is a big deal for people that I didn't really understand until I have the golden doodle I have now that's approaching 10 years old, is that pets are a really big deal. And when you have a plan, you have to take into account pets. They're big. So we work with the Montgomery County Emergency Operations Center, and we open them periodically. Our buses could be called on to assist depending upon what was needed. The classic example, Chief Blakelock and I worked a shelter during Hurricane Rita. Some of you, I've told you this story before, in that we had them broken down on 45, close to where Bolero is now. 3 buses of Alzheimer's nursing home patients. Their lives were becoming in danger quickly. We were able to get them to where I was, and we put them up in our wing of the school. And I tell you, those workers that work with them, they are angels walking among us. I've never seen anything like it. But so we aim and try to help where we can. And so it's also predicated on having people available to assist as far as our own workers to be able to respond. So next slide, Ethan. So here's the deal. When we know a storm's coming, there's a lot of things we do. And Marshall may be able to weigh in on this. But things are important. Things that are really important that you take for granted become a lot more important when a storm's coming. Things like water, ice, first aid, food, the generators working. Power is a big deal. I'm a huge fan. Making sure that we've got a plan for the food in our freezers and coolers. Checking the generators. Having water as a backup. And then we have 3 trailers that are fully stocked that we can respond during and after to do whatever is needed to get repairs in motion for us to return to school. Marshall, could you elaborate further since you're right in the heart of it?
Generators, so we test. So our generators are serviced every month. We check our generators every month, and then we do major, we bring a contractor in twice a year to check our generators to make sure they're ready. As far as water, we keep pallets of water stored in our warehouse for immediate consumption when needed. We have 3 emergency trailers. One's called the flood fighter, if you will. So when we had the release of water at Knox, our team responded. We didn't bring an outside contractor in, and we were able to clean that mess up. And then we also have a generator trailer that's fully stocked with portable generators, extension cords, so in case we needed to get a campus backed up on an immediate situation for temporary until we get power back. I don't know in my history that we've ever, very rarely, unless we're without power for multiple days, if we lose power for a couple hours, our staff responds, and typically we don't. Our goal is to never send kids home because there's no parents at home to take care of them if they're at work. So our goal is to keep them in school and have our team respond whenever needed.
Thank you, Marshall. So really, if we're shut down to some degree, it shuts down the county. So anything we can do to be in school is tantamount of importance. Also, I didn't mention, but a big thing there is projectiles. Things around a campus, that is a big thing. Locating things that can go airborne is important. So, all right, next up, Ethan. So landfall occurs. We have prearranged plans where we're going to reunite if it's safe to do so. Maintenance is going to check for water intrusion. I talked about water intrusion before the Board of Trustees regarding Reeves Elementary. We don't like water intrusion. However, water finds a way in life. So, but keeping water out of the buildings is a big part of what we do. And also when there is a storm. Marshall, any thoughts on water intrusion? It's bad.
Other than it's bad, we do have a couple locations where we know possibilities are higher. And so we dispatch our staff out when needed, and also we monitor it with cameras. We know the areas that are typically the first places to flood or take on water. Knowing that a storm's coming in, Washington is one of the ones that we know because of their drainage there. So we go and put what they call quick dams in front of the doors, on the outside of the doors, and in front of the gym, because the gym floor is the most costly thing that we could lose. So over the years we've learned, after every time we have any type of significant storm, we always have an after-action review. Everybody sits in the table, and what did we learn from this? And the notes that Mr. McCord provided are specifically from our after-action review after every storm. Anytime we update something, we add a new topic to our after-action storm, and that's the things that we have to check, and we know our staff has to check. And our staff is pretty much trained. So we use text strings, so our staff communicates amongst each other. Hopefully the cell signal doesn't go down. That's a big hit for us during, what storm was that? Where we lost cell signal. That was a huge Ike. So then, since then, we've added the digital radios so that at least we can communicate. We have reorganization so that if our staff goes out, we send, knowing that a storm is coming in, we'll send our staff that are going to and strategically place them. So if they're in East County, the East County schools are going to go in our vans. They're going to check the schools in East County so they don't have to drive all the way back to the shop. They're going to check those schools. They're going to report. If you've never done a FEMA claim, it's very interesting to say the least. They want to know not only that a tree went down, they want a GPS coordinate of where the tree went down. They want a picture of it before you clear it, and they want a picture of the GPS with a GPS coordinate after you clear it. And our insurance company is not nearly what FEMA is, but we've kind of learned the record-keeping mechanism, so we've employed inspection programs so that our staff can do inspections on a cell phone with or without a cell signal. It can be submitted later, which has been a godsend, if you will, for us dealing with the last barrel claim, and hopefully that closes out really quickly. But yeah, we've learned a lot of things over the years that we keep adding to our list of things of our staff to learn. And I've got a very seasoned staff, so it's second nature for them.
And to make the efforts of the staff he mentions for saving the district money as part of FEMA claims is unbelievable. And the amount of work that goes into it and the detail, as he described, is crazy, but it's worth it. So, all right, Ethan, let's roll. So just a few things. Marshall alluded to walkie-talkies. You know, you have, and Jason may be able to speak to this, but you have cell phone towers and they have backup generators. It seems like every time we have a storm, though, we lose cell signal. So we have maybe 15 to 18 walkie-talkies that would go across the entire county that we use to communicate. That gets us back operating in a hurry. Usually Steve Muir down here or Ethan will be in the Montgomery County Office of Emergency Management Operations Center, either before, during, or after the storm. Campus administrators sign up and help us work shelters if it comes to it. The perimeter fencing, we talked about perimeter fencing before. It was reinforced, and we have a bottom rail now on the perimeter fencing that was added as part of the safety and security grant to give added rigidity and strength to our fencing. The bad news is if it goes down now, it's going down. But, so it gives us a lot. Marshall, thoughts, musings on that?
And all of the fencing that we've done on our campuses was paid for out of the grant, and including all of the adding the bottom rails that we've been able to use those grant funds with the approval to be able to reinforce those. And we did have some sale during Barrow. So our hope is that, like Mr. McCord said, if they fail this time, they're really going to fail. It'll have to be a really bad storm, but we've definitely made improvements on our fencing.
If they go down, we've got bigger problems.
Yes, sir.
But you can't overstate the importance of the NOC, the Network Operations Center. That's what allows us to connect and via electronic means. It's backed up on generators. They're tested repeatedly. And so the NOC is a big deal. It's located here on site. So, Ethan? So that's what we have. I'm good for questions, but before we do that, I'd be remiss if I didn't let Mr. Millsap speak, because he probably is the point guard for response for the county.
Thank you, Mr. McCord. The first thing for the county is preparedness. We work very diligently to prepare and stay prepared, not just for hurricanes, but for pretty much anything. As we've seen in the last few weeks, storms just have their way of popping up. One of our key components of our preparedness plan is our warehouse. It's here in Conroe. It's around the corner. It's 78,000 square feet. I call it the Costco for emergency management. If you think you have a warehouse full of water, mine beats you. We're stockpiled with every known thing you can imagine that we use frequently, not just for sheltering, but for response. I have 78 pallets of ice on hand right now. You name it, I've got it. So we are in the process now of getting our stock levels up to hurricane season level. So we burn through a lot of things throughout the year. Water, for instance, one of those things where if you need water, I'll loan it out to you. Really, loan's a dirty word, give to you, because it expires. So I want to make sure it's used. So we rotate that way. And then we're really good about utilizing FEMA and the state to restock. So we'll order during those storms a lot of resources that we may not physically need at that time, but before they got on the ground, we were 3 days ahead of them responding. So I've burned through that stock. So when they get on the ground and resupply, and then continue to supply us for the duration of the mission. So that's one of the things. The response side of things, as you know, Montgomery County does a lot of things well, but we have a great first responder network. We're really robust. We can get out and respond to pretty much anything. It's not like it was 20 years ago when we were almost all volunteer except for Conroe and the Woodlands. Now it's 100% paid, professional, career level guys, and they get a lot of practice in a lot of things. And storm response, flood response, and wildfires are actually our bread and butter, because we go all over the state and the country for it. At the EOC, my staff deploys to disasters all over the country as well. So if we don't get a hurricane this year, we're going to work on one, because we get deployed to other counties and across the country to help. So we keep up with that. The evacuation things. There's a lot of things in the news. If you watch the news with evacuations, the coastal counties, due to specifically Galveston, due to the Causeway Bridge construction, are going to increase their evacuation time from 36 hours to 72 hours now. That will start the surge of traffic our direction. Montgomery County is not an evacuation county. You will never hear the judge or myself issue an evacuation due to a hurricane, because we are designed to be a pass-through county. We want our folks to hunker down. So you hide from the wind, you run from the water. We don't have a storm surge problem here. And so we need to get the coastal counties out. As a result of that, our traffic management plan is being updated now to reflect the increased traffic sooner. That includes activating fuel resources, because our fuel stations are going to start getting surged for need. My fuel resources are on contract through our mutual aid with the school district. Should you get into a predicament and need fuel for your generators, and your contractor is unable to provide, you just need to let us know. Not only can our contractor probably step in and help, we also have the ability to move fuel on our own, and we keep a stockpile of that as well, so we can move fuel in a hurry, especially if a contractor's 12 hours out. 12 hours you can burn 400 or 500 gallons of fuel. We can move that in just an hour. So we're capable of doing that. Buses, we've brought buses. Mr. McCord has. We've used buses from the district before. Here recently, Splendora ISD has been gracious enough to actually physically give us buses without the need for personnel. So my guys, I actually got to drive school bus last year. So I'm checked that off on my wish list. So they loan us a handful of buses as needed. We've kept them for 4, 5, 6 days at a time, even when their schools are back open. So I don't anticipate, unless we have a really bad problem countywide, to call upon the district for that. But should it happen, our mutual aid agreement, you guys are always great with us as well. The big thing I've noticed over time, and this has become more prevalent, is the consumers of the news. The weather in the news is actually lacking. And my clientele is everyone in the county. I can't tell you how many people I talked to during a storm, after a storm, or even weeks after a storm. They had no clue there was anything coming on. Even though with advanced radars and the technology and cheetah craft on the news, we don't have people who consume that stuff. And so if it's not on social media, in reality in social media that they also consume, then they're not getting it. One way we could partner with the district to help us fill that gap is you have 80,000+ students with parents with cell phones, and you have a robust texting network. I know I get an email or a text message at least once a week from the district, and that we could partner with you guys and say, hey, could you remind folks we have a storm in the Gulf, and your offices, along with our offices, are monitoring, and will provide updates as necessary, just to kind of probe them. Maybe that'll get them to turn the news on or watch or pay attention, because Mr. McCord teases me about a wreck last year with our ambus that I was driving during Burrell, but the lady that I hit, or should I say she got in my way, I had an escort and I was running code, but I digress. She had no clue. So her emergency plan was, I need to feed my kids. I had no clue this storm was coming, nor expectation of loss of power. She doesn't have groceries. They probably never cook at home. And the only McDonald's within 400-mile range was open there, and I was trying to get past it. And the traffic jam was there, and she had nowhere to go. So that type of message, and there's at least a good third of your consumers of your text messages with parents that probably don't watch the news on a regular basis. So working with you guys on that. And then the last thing I want to talk about is our communications network. One of the reasons why we lose cell reception is you get the little box on your phone that says you're getting communication with the tower, but nothing's happening. For whatever the reason is, fiber networks have decided to start putting nodes between point A to point B, and that node has a hardwired power source. And they do not have generators on these now. And so I've just started noticing this because they're installing them so fast that if they don't get power installed to them fast enough, they're actually having to bring a generator out to that location, temporarily install a generator to get the network up online, and then a week or two later, Entergy, Chico, whoever it is, comes in and installs their meter, and then they take the generator away. That's a new phenomenon to me, especially from knowing what I know of this district's network with fiber and our network at the county. We don't have points in between our runs that require power. So we're able to supply network to our buildings without that need. But we still have buildings that receive out of domain network access. So that poses a challenge to us. So the county's response to that is we've shifted to Starlink. I have 14 Starlink systems now. We have one that's in a trailer that can deploy and bring network to a building. And so we use those very robustly. And so as a result of that, I also have 3 cell phone towers on wheels. They're called cows, but they're no longer bulky table-like trailers. These are in Pelican cases, and I've got one in the car. And I open it up, push a button, plug it into the Starlink, and now I have a cell phone tower in a box, and it brings everything back on within a half a mile. So we have those as well if you're on the FirstNet network. That's the caveat to my capability, is the FirstNet network. And so I don't know how many FirstNet phones the district has. I'm sure PD has more than any of them in the district, if at all. But we have that ability as well. I also have a cache of phones that are on the FirstNet network. There's 20 of them. They come in a Pelican. So if it's an isolated incident and it's a CISD issue, you just have to reach out. I can bring the Pelican over here. You can pass out the phones to your important folks. in addition to those FirstNet phones, they have push-to-talk capability. If you remember the old Nextel phones, these are brand new phones that have that, and there's 20 different channels push-to-talk on each phone, so you can assign a channel to different groups within the district. So our partnership with the district has been never better. It continues to grow because, unfortunately, we've got a lot of practice. And so it's not just hurricanes. I probably spent more time on campuses last year for fart spray than I care to remember. But yeah, I know. But we digress. But it gives us practice, so we are prepared to help you when asked for. So, and I could speak for the judge in saying that our mission is to be the most prepared county in the region. I think we've demonstrated that over and over again. And as long as I'm the emergency manager, as long as I can stand and breathe, we're going to continue to push in that direction. And we're very fortunate to have the resources we have. So, thank you, Tim.
Mr. McCord, also, one of the things that we do very well in partnership with emergency management is post-hurricane, post-storms, post-flood pod sites, handing out, making points of distribution, utilizing our campuses, utilizing our personnel with the county personnel to work together to get food, water, ice to people who otherwise wouldn't have it. That's every storm, and we work really well together, and I think that's just it speaks about our great partnership.
You guys are fortunate. You have a lot of facilities throughout the county. The district's so large that I can set up pods only on Conroe campuses and cover every turf basically in the county. And so it's helpful to us to have that relationship. And Ethan and the chief and McCord, oh, I'm sorry. I have this bad habit not using the mic. Have already got a pretty good text thread and email thread going. Dr. Landry, I'll make sure you get added, and we will bug each other.
Appreciate it.
But you are in reality, the district's our eyes and our ears because you have a need to get buses on the road really early in the morning. Dr. Nolan and myself probably talk to each other a lot at 3 in the morning, more than any other person on earth, including my boss. When the district's recognizing a problem or sees it coming and they're already out exploring the roads, we coordinate and talk because we have been caught off guard with especially flood events. So we got hit really bad last year where weatherman told us go home, go to bed, and we woke up and it was flooding. So it's the only job I know you can be 100% wrong 100% of the time and still get paid. I'd love that job, but anyways, so as you guys develop those summer plans and you know what you're going to do, we just coordinate very well. Conroe's the big fish in the pond, so what you guys do, a lot of the other districts follow, and so Dr. Knoll was a big leader in that, helping us coordinate across all of the districts. So I made one point of contact with one superintendent, and he fished the message out, and they tend to fall in line, or they would communicate amongst each other, and I'd get the feedback. So I hope we can continue doing that because it makes it easier instead of having to have 7 different meetings because I have 7 school districts, just one. But we stand ready to serve you guys in any way we can, and it's not just me, but the whole team in the county. And your problems are our problems, so we'll help you guys out.
Appreciate that very much.
So, hey, just to piggyback on that, when Mr. Millsaps talks about the warehouse in Costco, he is not embellishing. We've been out there, our team, it's all that. And also, that ambus, it's a serious piece of machinery. Probably want to give it a wide berth, but it is a serious piece of machinery. So the county is well equipped to respond with people and with equipment. It's impressive. So I hope that helps. Okay. Hopefully we don't have any hurricanes.
In my defense, it did allow everyone else to want to drive it after I wrecked it. It cost us $0 to fix it because it's a tank. But the poor lady that got tail spun and hit totaled her car. Thankfully, they weren't injured. But, yeah, it's a tank. You can look at it. I didn't fix it. I didn't have it painted because I thought the scratch allowed others in the office to use it because at that time I was the only one that was willing to drive the $2 million piece of machinery. So
that's what we have.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Jason, I have one quick question.
yes, ma'am.
So thank you again for this. This is a really great synopsis. So what I'm hearing from you, though, regarding our mutual aid is you really are looking for communications with us. So are we in talks then with communications to put together some sort, I don't know if we have an MOU, or I'm not sure what we have.
I don't think we need an MOU because it's your network and you're not going to be
Okay.
transmitting critical emergency messaging, but it could be as, you know, I'm watching forecast models already that sometime around June 19th, there's
Yes.
talk that we may have a storm in the Gulf. Conditions aren't favorable at this time, but things change.
Yes.
But if all of a sudden that forecast model comes out and the National Weather Service is issuing, you know, their spaghetti chart or their cone of uncertainty, if it enters the Gulf, I would at least ask if it's feasible that the district, you know, in coordination with the Office of Emergency Management in the county, we're monitoring a storm developing in the Gulf. This time it poses no threat to Texas and Conroe ISD. However, we're working together just to put it on somebody's radar and think about it. And as things change, then that messaging can get
Sure.
ramped up, and then maybe we start linking them back to us.
And, yeah, and so I'm clear, that starts with a phone call with Dr. Landry, then Dr. Landry would
Sure, yeah.
activate the troops.
And we'll be glad to
Okay.
help communications
Okay,
develop
perfect.
what it should say or it needs to say. But it's your platform, so if you
Okay,
want to
great.
add CISD specific messaging in there, by all
Great.
means. I think just like I said, I get one every Sunday from the school saying, hey, read the newsletter. It's a text message. It comes at 3 o'clock every Sunday like clockwork. And as the kid travels to a new campus, I get that one too. So it's as things are moving on, you're getting updated in the system with the cell phones technology. So I think we could work together. I'm going to ask the other districts to help us with this because your text, if I send out a text, mine overrides your phone and it goes beep beep at whatever hour and you can't turn it off. If I do that enough, people just turn their stinking phones off. So I don't want to be that guy to do that. So I would much rather work with you guys using your network. And then that probe could be, you know, for more information, sign up for MCTX Alert. So when I send out a non-emergency activated message, they get it by choice. And you know, we can help folks really pay attention because there's a lot of folks I think are not receiving news updates on the weather. So.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, item C, 2024-2025 weekly required door inspections. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is one after hearing all of the great information about county partnerships and hurricane preparedness that's going to be very riveting, so buckle up. However, it is a TEA requirement that this information is provided to this committee. So as you guys know, we've had discussions before. We are required to do the weekly door inspections, and we have a lot of doors. Marshall, how many? Off the top of your head or easy? How many doors do we have? A lot. A lot.
It's approaching 2,000.
Yes,
Approaching
and it's a lot of
2,000.
doors. So, and we're required weekly. It's part of what's, we had to submit to the TEA and their new program called Sentinel, which is kind of the safety and security documentation overlord. I submit it for all of the campuses. It says it's on. It's green, allegedly. Is that better? Man, I'm already loud as it is. I don't need a microphone. Is it good? Okay. So as of May the 15th, 2025, and that's when I ran the report when we were getting ready for this, there was 138,500 door inspections that were documented by our members of administration across our campuses. So that's 66 campuses, and that was 138,500, and that wasn't even a complete year. I have a spreadsheet. If anybody wants to see it, you can raise your hand. I'll get up and look at it. But it will just be an eyesore. And so you can filter that. And so what the requirements are, if they're operational, of course, and that's what the TEA wants to see, if they were broken and a work order's placed, all the way down to whether or not it was propped open. There's about 4 things that they want to see. And so out of those, 220 of those 138,000, there was 220 broken with a work order placed. And so again, it's going to be a big thank you to Marshall and his team. They get out there and they jump on those doors quickly to get them fixed and maintained for our campuses. Another thing with that is for the TEA requirement is maintenance, and I'll let Marshall elaborate on this a little bit. They're required twice yearly maintenance checks, which means that we have to report to the state that he and his team has checked them. However, they do it pretty much monthly, and a report is generated and sent to me that, again, I upload in for the TEA to see. But Marshall, if you want to elaborate on that with what you and your team do with the doors.
So we capture a video of each door opening and closing to show that, so in case they come back and say that, you know, the door was didn't operate or did operate the way it's supposed to. Our guys physically push the door open and they stand there with a cell phone and they video it. They attach that to the work order. That information is then shipped over to, on the monthly reports, over to Ethan.
And that's really it that we have. It's just it's a requirement to let you guys know that those door checks are happening, and two, that they're being documented, and three, that we're following through when and if there are any issues. But 138,500 as of May door checks is pretty impressive, and so the people that we have at our campuses, I mean, we can only thank them for doing that. Even though it is required, it is a lot of work. So that's all I have for that. If y'all have any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them.
Okay, no questions? All right, item D, mental health initiatives in Conroe ISD. Mrs. Rodriguez.
Can you hear me? Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you again for having me this year, having us come back. We appreciate the opportunity to share school counseling update as well as mental health updates. We are excited about something that's coming for 25-26. We have made a change, an official change department name from guidance and counseling to school counseling, and this reflects the evolution role of a school counselor, and it aligns with Texas Education Agency. They have gone away from guidance and counseling and moving just with this new identity as school counseling, because our role is comprehensive and there's so many different things, and as you know, life has changed and more mental health is included, so we are in alignment with Texas Education Agency. Number two, our district crisis team. We're excited we recruited 25 new school counselors to serve as volunteers on our district crisis team, and this is to help this is to help schools when they have some type of crisis. If there's a death of a student or a staff member, we go in and provide support. So we're excited that we've had 25 additional school counselors to join us in this effort. Another thing that's new is our mental health specialist. Our old person has gone into the private sector, and now Taylor Bart, she's coming to us from Milam Elementary, and she's going to be our new mental health specialist. She'll help us keep abreast on Texas legislation and all the things that school counselors and campuses what we need to do, and help us in that preventative format. And so we're excited for her to join us. And the part that I really wanted to focus on today is our mental health toolkits. And last year we created a mental health toolkits which stem from our work with the SHAC in 23-24. And when we help with the SHAC help us with the suicide prevention toolkit, and then last year we added 12 more toolkits because of that work. It's just a one-stop shop for campuses to have information. And what we've done now, we've divided it into two segments. We have the mental health that's legislative driven, and now we have the mental health that's just supportive. So to give you an example, our legislative initiatives are the suicide prevention, human trafficking, bullying prevention, substance use and fentanyl awareness, and digital citizenship and online safety. And then this other part that we have now, last year was our first toolkit with anxiety. So we have a toolkit that lists all these different resources for anxiety. And this year, we're excited that our new mental health specialist, she's going to help us create a toolkit for grief. That's another area that we really need to help families and students with, is with the grief. And I just have a snapshot up there of the mental health awareness toolkit just to show it's simple, but it does start out with the legislation, and then we have all these different links and tools of information where campuses, they can go ahead and use that information to help their campus. They create their own plan on what that looks like for their campuses. This information is shared through our assistant SUPs for the campuses, and of course the counselors have to have this in their comprehensive school counseling plan, so that part. So we all have access to this information. So that's the part I really wanted to highlight today, was our new identity. We're recruiting for more support for our district crisis, our mental health toolkits, which have been a hit, and we just want to continue to grow those and expand those, and then look at ways on what can we do. Some campuses need help with a plan. so just our team, we want to learn how, we want to help them have just like a sample plan of some sort. You know, sometimes they can't think about what the plan need to be. So just having an example of that would, for them. So we're committed to help our campuses with what they need, and we always advocate for more school counselors. That's just the world that we're in, because life is different, and it is different now. And so that's one thing. If this was the perfect world, we would always like more school counselors. But that's all I have for today. Do you have any questions or anything?
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, thank you for your overview here. Can you just give us an idea, just a good overview of what the staffing looks like for the district for counselors?
So we're 188 strong. There are some this year because of allocations. We're seven less than what we're going to go in this year. So we do need more school counselors. So we have 24 campuses, elementary campuses with only one school counselor. And I think out of that, we have maybe about 8 of those campuses that, elementary campuses that have over 800 kids. And the state mandate is 350 to 1 to 350. But when it comes to elementary, it's like they can't, every 500 is when you can have another one. So those campuses that are at 800 and 900, it's a challenge, but we have a list of those campuses, and we're going to work on what we can do to provide added support for those campuses.
I might have another question in a second.
Thank you so much for your update. That was very informative. Question about the new identity, school counseling versus guidance and counseling. Yeah. Is there? I think you said that was legislation, and I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with it. Oh, okay.
TEA, okay. The new name. So
is there? Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just wondered, is there a new job description for it as well, or it's just a complete changing of the title?
Yeah. So there is slowly now. The name school counseling changed 2000. Right, but now Texas Education, maybe about 5 years ago, have changed it, and they have taken away that name. If you go to their website, you're not going to find guidance and counseling, you're going to find school counseling, because they want us to evolve into what they want us to do now, because they have this whole new framework called effective advising, and so they're slowly rolling this out. So we want to stay connected and be current. And so we're excited about that new name, that new identity, because our role it has evolved and it continues to evolve.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, another question. So I talked to Dr. Knoll before he left about just a little deeper dive and a little more focus in our mental health. Yeah. The loss of life is very concerning to me, and what we can do that is, you know, robust, but also are there things that we can do that don't cost money? Do you have any ideas on that?
Well, I would say right now is just finding out what do we see, and how can we support campuses and support students. I know we've seen students that are stressed out, anxiety is high when it comes to the advanced courses, they play in the GPA game, all those things. And so educating our students on, educating our students that it's okay to do the best you can, and you don't have to play all these games to be the number 1 or the number 2 or all these things. They create that themselves. I mean, it comes from maybe the home life, but just letting them know that's not the last thing on earth, right? My mouth is going dry. Excuse me. Okay. So we have to know, where are we? Where are we with what are our campuses seeing? What do we see, and what can we do to feel that? I'm a firm believer, if students are connected and they're involved and keeping it positive, keeping it simple, don't stress out. There are different things that they can do. When a kid would come to my office, what is your number 1 goal? Why are we here? What are we here for? Okay, so we know what we're here for. Now, what are you dealing with right now? Okay, let's talk that through, let's figure it out. But our number one goal is to be at school, to be successful, and if we have things that's going on outside, well, let's talk to parents. Here's some tools that you can do outside of this, but right here, I want you to focus here. And a lot of times, from my experience, when students are stressed out, they may be at home on their phone all night, you know. They come in the morning, they haven't eaten, they haven't slept, and they don't even know what they're doing. So, you know, just going back to the basics and letting, you know, informing and teaching our students and our parents on it doesn't have to be stressful. School is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to come, learn, and when you're having challenges at school, when you're having challenges at home, there are resources and there are things out there to help. We have plenty of resources out there, and there's plenty of ways to help people. You have to want it too, but just for the students to understand that sometimes we create that ourselves, and teaching them how for it to be okay. It can be okay. But I think that we have to have those conversations, building those relationships with those kids. I think every kid needs to be connected to someone.
I guess just for me, topside, I would like to see a little deeper dive in our mental health initiatives, and you're doing an amazing job. I'm not saying that at all.
Oh, no, we can always improve.
Yes, I would like to take a look at the allocations and just ensure that we have enough troops on the ground. Do we need more? I'm wondering, is there any way to have a student-driven committee that is really telling us what they're saying? And again, just it's the loss of life for me is really concerning, and so I'd like to just have a little deeper focus on that. And thank you for everything you and your team does, and the crisis team is amazing. So thank you so much.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Just piggybacking off of that really quickly too, and I know we probably need to move on, but I would like to know more about the process too, like if there are folks in the school, teachers, counselors, whoever it may be, that, you know, when you see someone, it's reported to a counselor, it's reported to a parent, and we can talk a little bit more about that offline, but maybe sort of piggybacking off of what she was saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Item E, intruder detection audits for the 24-25 school year. Mr. McCord.
Thank you, Dr. Landry. So before I do that, I would just like to thank Mrs. Rodriguez for being here. Each time we set the agenda for this, we try to involve counseling, because I don't think we can talk about safety. Even though fences and access is important, the people are important. So thank you, Tiffany, for coming and benefiting us. So just on the intruder detection audit, we've concluded our year. We had unannounced, random, 65 campuses audited. 62 achieved the desired goal of no findings. We are done. Nothing is reported since last time we met here at this same place. And so it is just a massive, I know that we talk about this each time, it's just a massive job for each campus to keep every door, fence, gate closed, locked, secured at all times. So I salute them. I appreciate them. I know Ethan does. Ethan has a lot to do with it. Our own internal checks, Mr. Ferguson down here going out, so appreciate all of them. But that continues. Safety there's no finish line to safety. We'll be doing it again next year. And we'll aim to do even better. So, Ethan, is there anything granular I missed with that?
No, but if you don't mind talking about the DVA just a little bit, because our next meeting is after it's going to happen.
So, there is a massive component the TA has brought on board. It's called the DVA, which stands for District Vulnerability Assessment. I'm old school, but it's akin to what would be called a deck visit, but for safety, where they're going to go into analysis of everything that we do as on the safety front to a scale that has never been seen in human history. So we were not in the first round. Last year, some districts were surveyed. Our number is up this year, and that is fine. And I'm not just doing this because he's here, but we are well positioned to do great on it. And it has a lot to do with the effort of a lot of people, but it's spearheaded by Mr. Ethan Barton across the table here. But we'll be talking a lot with principals at the July board meeting about what's involved with the district vulnerability assessment. But it is remarkable, and we will be involved as a safety and security committee. And so it's coming, and I do not have adjectives in my vocabulary to tell you how big a deal it is. So, Ethan, what would you color commentary add?
It's a lot, and just know that, of course, anything that we have to submit to the TEA, we'll have to turn around and then, of course, give you guys a synopsis of what happened and what was done with that. So it may not be in that fall one, just because it's a quick turnaround. They're supposed to come visit us the week of October the 6th, 3 days, 53 campuses, and they'll go through that. And so then they'll have to prepare all their reports. And we're meeting, the next date is the 16th. So it'll more than likely be the next meeting after that that we'll be able to present all of that information to you. But we kind of had a head start with this whole Sentinel thing in regard of what they're going to be looking for. So I've spent a lot of time trying to get ahead of it. And I think I've gotten ahead of most of it. And so we'll be meeting with them on the 11th to go over some things, and we'll learn some more then and in order to be prepared for October. But we're doing everything that we're supposed to do. So we should be in pretty good shape.
But, you know, just to, Dr. Landry, just to add, it's not about checking the boxes or just doing what we're supposed to do for the DVA or Sentinel. It's about doing it because it's the right thing to do and keeps people safe. And you have to keep focused on what is the purpose of this. So we try to do that. And also, he gave me a good segue. If you're a planner like I am, our next meeting is scheduled for October 16th, which I believe is a Thursday at 4 p.m. Central. So October 16th at 4. Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Barton. October 16th, I believe it's a Thursday. That's what I have on intruder detection audits, Dr. Landry. Happy to answer any questions about intruder detection audits.
Okay. All right. Thank you all very much. You know, obviously, safety, both physical and emotional, safety is our number one priority. I mean, we have to make sure that everybody, students, adults, everyone is taken care of, and that they are in a position to be able to do, you know, meet our mission goals, which is education. But you got to take care of that safety first. So I do appreciate everybody being here and taking the time to continue to make our district very safe. You know, the numbers support that. We do take it seriously, everyone, top to bottom, and I've been a part of that and seen the diligence with which all of these things are implemented. So I appreciate everybody and the work that you do. It means a lot, and it does not go unnoticed. So thank you all very much. Okay. If that's it, then I'll just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do I have a second? Oh, all in favor of adjourn? We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.